Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com in partnership with DraftKings Pick6. Nate and Josh here with you guys. Week 16 in the NFL, taking a look at these play-up props. We're going to be looking at more or less than using DraftKings Pick6 to get these plays for you guys. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're bringing you these videos each and every week moving forward throughout the NFL season, as you know. So let's jump right into your first look here, Nate, on week 16, getting some Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, Adonai 80, whatever you want to call him. He's all the Jets got right now. So I feel pretty comfortable in him getting a fair share of targets here with the Jets at NOLA, getting more than 42.5 receiving yards. He's averaged 105 air yards since week 11. And since Garrett Wilson's gone down pretty shortly after that, he has 50% of the Jets' air yard share. Now Mason Taylor's out. Now Breece Hall is banged up and should be just kind of preserving himself for next season. We've seen him not do much the last couple of years, and the Saints are pretty much a pass funnel. They're 12th against the rush by DVOA, 23rd against the pass, but 31st against the pass when it's the number one wide receiver. And Adonai is definitely that 100% of the routes in two of the last three, 21 targets in those two where he ran 100% of the routes. The exception being a tougher matchup, but this is not too scary here against that Saints secondary indoors. I know it's going to be Brady Cook, and the Jets are pretty much looking ahead to next season, but their defense is so bad that they're just going to be behind. They're going to be throwing often, and Brady Cook has basically one option of who to throw the ball to.
Brady Cook, probably adequately placed on the depth chart for that team, but maybe he should have been ahead of against Justin Fields. I don't know. Shout out Mizzou. Either way, this is the only guy running those routes that you mentioned here that you feel comfortable with. So I have zero qualms with going more on AD stuff. But let's look at another receiver that you've definitely heard of. Mike Evans is back, baby. And he's kind of back because he has to be, in part. Like, he is so helpful to Baker Mayfield and what he's capable of doing. So we're taking more than 57.5. This feels like a smash spot too. There's probably some multipliers that you can get to get him a bit higher. I mean, he was only on 55% snap last week, Nate, and it still came up with 132 yards receiving. And you're talking about a Panthers team that just doesn't really have a guy to cover their number one wide receiver because JC Horn really doesn't seem to travel well. And now we're going to talk about a ton of single high safety for this Panthers defense. That's just something that he destroys. Like, basically go down the sideline, any kind of fly route for Mike Evans, and you feel really good of his one-on-one matchups that he's going to be seeing. And I mentioned Baker not being the same without Mike Evans. We're talking about a complete flip-flop here from a top 5 QB with him to a bottom 5 without him, and that's why he immediately saw 12 targets as soon as he came back against an Atlanta secondary that I think we both respect a ton more than we do this Carolina Panthers defense, especially on the road. And in his last 2 versus said Panthers defense, 8 catches a game, 107 yards per game, maybe a slightly healthier, different Mike Evans, but by this point in the season, who's healthy? Mike Evans is probably going to continue to see that 55% snap go up, so I think we're in a good spot to take him more than.
Yeah, he looked just fine against Atlanta last week. And now it gets a few extra days with that being a Thursday game. So yeah, I mean, really the key there is you could just line him up against the weaker Panthers cornerback and let him go to work. And they're apparently not sending much safety help. So Baker, yeah, he knows where his bread is buttered, so to speak, the bake man. So does Joe Burrow.
Did you mean to do that? That's incredible.
Sure, I got food on the brain from those Uber Eats commercials. Joe Burrow knows where his bread is buttered, though. Jamar Chase, of course, and T. Higgins was back at practice late on Thursday. It's possible he goes here in Miami. I'm not worried about that as far as the volume for Chase. I think it'll get him more high quality targets against the Dolphins team that is 30th in DVOA pass defense and is particularly bad against the slot. So I think the Bengals are just going to line Chase up in the slot, let him go to work. When he is on the outside, you might get the 30-year-old Russell Douglas, who's played really well this year, but I mean, still, it's 30 years old against a top 3 wide receiver in the game. The Miami also likes to blitz a lot, and Chase has a 30% target share when the Bengals are blitzed. Now we're talking Burrow instead of Flacco, so he's able to get a little more zip on that ball, get it to him quicker, get more yak out of that. This number at 84.5 is pretty high. It is the highest on the slate, I believe, so far, but it's just such an easier matchup than the Ravens, who he's played 2 of the last 3 and gone over 100 against. A divisional familiar opponent that was basically trying to bracket him, especially the last one with no Higgins, and he still goes off. So I think, the only one where he wasn't going off against Buffalo in the last couple weeks with Burrow back was an absolute snowball. And Buffalo just really good at limiting the deep play. And the Dolphins, as we saw last week against Pittsburgh, they ain't. They gave up like 250 plus to Aaron Rodgers and that weak receiver core. So I like Chase to go off here.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm with it in a game that I definitely think that you're going to see them need that from him. So yeah, I'm with the Chase stuff, especially matchup wise. Let's take a quick sec to talk about our partners at DraftKings Pick6. They have a deal that you don't want to miss, especially if you are a new DraftKings customer. This one is for you. When you play $5 or more on your first paid Pick6 entry, you'll get $50 in Pick6 credits. That's right. Play $5, get 50 in Pick6 credits to lock in your picks and take your shot at big wins. Just use our link to sign up and start playing. If you've been thinking about trying Pick6, now's the time to get in. Just use the link in the bio to sign up, and all new DraftKings customers can play $5 and get $50 in Pick6 credits. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends January 25th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Back to the picks and looking at Jordan Mason, it's time to fade the boy. I think we got to go less than 45.5 rush yards. Reason that this seems like it's at the number it is because we don't really like the New York Giants run defense to do much, but Mason's still the backup here. Let's be very clear. Like, this is Aaron Jones's backfield. He saw 20 snaps last week, which was his highest since Aaron Jones returned from that injury and just took over the backfield. But we've seen him get as low as 9 snaps, which he saw in week 11, right? So there's a pretty low floor for Mason's stuff here, and he really just hasn't been good this season. He's 110th in EPA there among running backs on those rush plays, and the Vikings are 20th in run blocking rating right now, which is a big reason why he's struggled, and especially because he's inside the tackles, right? And that's where they've struggled a ton. And Aaron Jones able to get outside the tackles a lot more and bounce things out with speed and quick feet a lot more so than the bruiser that is the downhill running that style of Jordan Mason. You look at some interior runners against this Giants rush defense, it kind of shows you that you really need to get around the outside and get outside the tackles to have a little bit more success against them. You saw Monungai struggle with 7 for 28. That was a DeAndre Swift game. Monty, 5 for 18, Jahmyr Gibbs game, and Ramondre, 12 for 40, Henderson game in that one as well, right? Because those guys who are a little bit more scatty can get outside are going to be the guys that you want to put the ball in their hands and probably going to have a lot better yards per carry. So I think this is a little bit high, too much so, and we can actually find some value on reversing it there with less than.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Run away from Dexter Lawrence. Run away from the best defensive tackle in the game. You can't just run up between the tackles. And like you said, yeah, Jordan Mason just frankly not been good. I don't see why Aaron Jones wouldn't be playing over him going forward. I'm also fading a backup here who's now up to 37.5 rush yards for Perine. I don't know if we have the memo that the Dolphins' run defense is very, very good. Very good. Now up to 7th in DVOA on the season, but top 5 since week 10. They do not give up anything on the ground. They give up plenty through the air. So Perine has a role there as far as being the receiving back. He basically only gets carries when they're in the shotgun. Do the Bengals 94% carry rate in the shotgun is number 1 in the league versus under center 6% is number 68 in the league. So if the Bengals are, in a neutral or positive script and they're not just throwing the ball constantly like they were against the Ravens the last couple weeks, then I don't think Perine's getting as many carries as Chase Brown for sure. I mean, for some reason, the coaches really liked Perine in that Baltimore matchup, gave him more snaps, but the one in between, only 6 carries. He did get 31 yards against a bottom tier Buffalo run defense. But like I said, Dolphins are not that. They are very good against the run. And I don't think that they're going to be leading much because they are debuting rookie Quinn Ewers for his first NFL start. So even in that spot, yeah, you got to favor Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's the only way that this gets out of control is like, I guess you give some backup carries to Perine in the 4th, but I don't even think he's really a guy that's getting those sort of blowout touches, right? Like, he's still just out there when they need either a reliable guy to back up Brown or more likely it's 3rd down and they're looking at the pass. So, and
I should mention he aggravated that ankle injury that kept him out for a couple of weeks. So last week, and they're being hush hush about it, but yeah, that could definitely be an issue.
Yeah, no, that's a good point something to point out as well. But let's close it with Jameson Williams. I do think the receptions are good. Yards don't really scare me either. Obviously, he's always liable to break one, but 4.5 receptions makes sense in this matchup as well. When you talk about this shoddy Steelers defense here, Jamo at home, know how he loves to fly on the turf. And that's a big reason why this team has, like, I believe the highest implied team total of the week at over 28 in this one. And Pitt is allowing the third most receptions to wide receivers. So there is something to be said for Jamo and the receptions, maybe some crossing routes. But again, if he's breaking one, then you'd like him to keep going. But his usage has continued to go way up with Dan Campbell's being in charge of the offense here, as we've seen some definite changes, right? Like a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs and now a lot more wide receiver stuff, which is for like to go around to Jamo, including Amon-Ra. He started to match that usage for him. And when you talk about scheming him into space, he's just a little bit shorter ADOT for him, but that does equal more receptions. And that's something that, they've started to use him a little bit more than just a fly guy. And this really is a lot to do with Laporta not being around, right? Like, it's just a much more reliable target distribution amongst the wide receivers when you don't have Sam Laporta running sometimes wide receiver style routes with his super high ADOT. So yeah, I think this is a good spot continuing to target Jamo, and this probably should get a little bit higher over the last few weeks of the season.
Yeah, because I mean, both him and Amon are getting moved all over the formation. It's really hard for the opposition to key in on where they're going to line up and get their best corner on either guy. But Amon-Ra should, generate more attention after going absolutely nuclear against the Rams. And yeah, we have to point out the other side of the ball that Detroit's defense is struggling, and so the Steelers should be able to put points up, keep this as a pass-friendly environment, and therefore keep Goff throwing the ball on the other side.
Yep, makes complete sense to me as well. But that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, coming back to you every week this NFL season with more action in partnership with DK Pick6. So until we see you next, best of luck.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. CT. 18 plus. 19 plus ALNE. 21 plus AZMAVA. Valid only where Pick6 operates. See dkng.co/Pick6 states. Void in NY, ONT, and where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions apply. One per new DraftKings customer. First $5 plus paid Pick6 to receive max $50 issued as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days, 336 hours. Ends January 25th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms: pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Sponsored by DraftKings.